Welcome to the inaugural D3 podcast, not the Mighty Ducks, but worse. We decided to call ourselves. This is Andy Graziano with AJ Graziano and Anthony Paterno. We got two Floridians and a New Jerseyan. Is that the right way to say it? New Jerseyan, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Whatever you want to
Coming at
call
you
it.
live.
Hopefully
We used to say coming at you live from M-Town, but we're not all in M-Town anymore. We are all. You guys are from M-Town, but I decided to migrate down.
Yeah, the roots are in M Town still. So
how you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good. How are you?
good.
I'm good. So I was going to wear my Barzal jersey because I figured there's going to be a lot of. Once again, I'm stuck on a podcast with Ranger fans. I don't understand how this happens.
We're just superior, so you can't get away from us.
See, here we go. Starting early. I don't understand how this happens, but it happens nonetheless, and I got to eat shit. So I guess that's got to do what you got to do, right?
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure we're going to get into it hot and heavy tonight with the Rangers acquisition of Patrick Kane, which excited a lot of people initially. And 2 games in, the fan base has already turned. They've already started marching with their pitchforks.
Not me. No, I haven't turned. No.
Some of us, but no, that's one of the topics I really wanted to get into too, because I mean, most of the people you see now all over Twitter are not Ranger fans saying all this stuff, but especially last night after Timo Meier scored 10 minutes into that game. So, but no, I think it's going to take some time. It's
even a great goal. Like, it was a little cheap backhander. The goalie came out too far, and
I saw he scored, and I was like, oh man, this isn't good, because I knew all the Devil fans would start talking shit. And of course, you saw the kid on Ant was going at the kid on Twitter, and he went back to my tweet from last week or whatever it was, and I was like, dude, really, come on.
Yeah, my thing is,
what are we doing?
I was never I expect Timo Meier to be good. I was never, I wasn't one of the people saying I don't want Timo Meier. I want these two. I feel like a lot of them are acting as if we're like, oh, Patrick Kane's better than Timo Meier. No, if I could have chosen who to get, it would have been Timo Meier from the beginning, at least in my opinion. If I could have done away with Tarasenko or Kane, I would have gotten Timo Meier. It's just, it didn't work for us. And maybe it could have, because look at all the stuff we went through to get Kane. Maybe, if we would have went back in time and said, if we're going to go through all this stuff, let's do it for Meier. But the point is, we got 2 players. We got 2 good players, 2 playoff performers. So I think
you got 2 really, really good players, right? You got a guy who a lot of people were down on coming off the shoulder injury, who I was convinced could still snipe. He's proving me right thus far. You got probably Mr. Playoff in Patrick Kane. And let's be honest, that's why the Rangers got him. The Rangers got him for the stretch run, sure, but they got him primarily for how he has performed in the past in the playoffs. Not many guys in the NHL. I'm going to go back and check this, right? I mean, not many guys in the National Hockey League have averaged a point per game in their playoff career. And that's pretty much what Patrick Kane has done. And he scored big goal after big goal after big goal. When it matters the most, he's not afraid of the bright lights. So that was the big get for me, I think.
Well, the thing is, the thing with Kane is, once they got Tarasenko, we thought that was it. Kane, the Kane thing was done. That was it. But then the fact that he pushed so hard to, he still wanted to go to the Rangers, and it was Rangers or bust pretty much. And then, Dolan goes to Drury, and he's like, can we still make this work? And then they go through all the cap gymnastics and everything. And you bring a guy like Kane in. I mean, you said it best. He's probably, in my opinion, he's the greatest playoff performer of all time that I've ever seen.
Well,
he scored.
He's the greatest American player of all time.
He scored huge goals. He knows how to play, in big games. it's not, I don't think, I think everyone freaking out saying he's lazy. It's a huge change. He spent, 15 and a half seasons in Chicago. That's all he ever knew. And
they didn't get him to play defense, period. So stop it with that. They didn't get him to play defense.
And then even before they acquired him, you had all the chart boys, and I'm not, I don't want to, crap on analytics, completely, but, it's you're bringing in Patrick Kane. That's all it's all that matters.
Analytics are useful when they're used in conjunction with the eye test. I
talked about this.
I go against people who use one or the other exclusively, right? Because you do have to work there are some useful analytics that you can work in. But to use them completely, like the quote unquote stat nerds, as we like to call them. That's when it just goes way over the top for me.
We talked about this because the other day when I forget whoever we got in that trade, right? I don't know. It was a minor league swap. I don't remember who the player actually even was, but one of the chart people tweeted and they were like, they tweeted
like
the
goblins,
chart and they were like, this guy's probably never going to see NHL time.
Wait,
I'm like, if you don't know
Colorado?
No, I think it was part of the. Didn't we get somebody in the Kane deal?
We got, I forget his name, something Zek or something like that. Something weird.
Whoever it was, right? I was like, I don't know. Everybody was like, do you know who this guy is? I'm like, I have no idea. And then I see people posting charts and saying he's probably never going to play in the NHL. And I'm like, how can you possibly, like, you're probably right? I mean, he probably won't ever play in the NHL, but how can you post a chart and say something like that, like without ever seeing the person play? Like it's amazing.
Yeah, like here's a perfect example of that, right? I had mentioned this morning about Kyle Palmieri, and I had said that Kyle Palmieri he's got 4 goals in his last 17 games. Since the Islanders acquired him, he's on an 18-goal pace. With their injuries currently and what they've suffered through this season, they really need him to be better. Right. And people immediately come at me like, yeah, but 5-on-5 course, he's really good. They've outscored the opposition 18-5 when he's on the ice. He's lifted Brock Nelson's game. And while all that is true, and see, that's a perfect example, I think, of me going too eye test stat heavy and the analytic people going too analytic heavy, right? There was no real meeting in the middle on a player like Kyle Palmieri, who I feel the Islanders need much more out of than 4 goals in 17 games, irregardless of how well he might be playing. I don't remember times when I played, and again, I never played at the professional level, so before everyone jumps on me for that and assumes that that's what I mean. I don't ever remember myself coming off and saying, you know what, though, I played a good game. No, I didn't score and we lost. Yeah. And that's really how I thought of it. And is it simplistic? Possibly, but that's kind of what I was talking about this morning with Palmieri, and the analytics guys jumped all over me for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you said, there's got to be a fine line, right? Because, like, to your point, you saying that we lost, but you can say you played a good game. I mean, it's technically true, right? You could play a good game and your team could still lose. It has nothing to do with. You could set as many people up as you want, and if they don't score with an open net, what could you do?
Right.
So it's like, I feel like there's got to be a meet in the middle type of thing, like you said. But I just find it amazing how people could post charts and act like these people are video game characters, and you're not even watching them play at all.
Right.
How can there be a chart for like hockey sets, right? In my opinion,
right.
Like there's no analytics for that.
No, and you can't even. That's not even like teachable. Like that's just natural. That's natural.
And let's face it, in the 2 games that Kane has played so far, you can kind of see he's excited, he's invigorated, he's energetic. I think that the Rangers have.
He looks nervous though.
Well, I think the Rangers have been guilty of trying to force it to him. Especially Panarin has been really trying to force it to him, and I think that's actually hurt them. AJ said to me before, and he made a really good point. He goes, they might have to split them up, and that actually might be true if they find.
I'm interested. Yeah, I'm interested to see the lines tomorrow. I mean, they have practice tomorrow, so we'll see. But I don't think it's too early still. I think, but if it keeps going,
that's kind of why I don't. Because, all right, so think about what we've done with Tarasenko, right? When has Tarasenko looked the best on this team? It's been with Kreider and Zibanejad, and Kreider's a fucking bum, so let's get that out of the way.
Whoa.
So he's weighing the line.
A bombshell.
50 goals last year, man.
The goal is great. Okay,
goals.
He can finish. He's got good hands in front of the net. But when you watch him play, like, just watch him play the game. Like, aside from those times he's literally scoring, watch him play the game, and it's just horrible. But anyway, Tarasenko's been playing best with them. So if you put Tarasenko back on the Panarin line, like it's not like Tarasenko, Trocheck, and Panarin lit it up like when they were playing together. No. And I feel like the Kane move, yes, it's for the playoffs, but it's also Panarin didn't have a great playoffs. So I think the purpose of this is they want to get him going, and they want to get him some confidence and some chemistry with somebody where when they get into the playoffs, it's not as easy for another team to just attack Panarin and just get him off the puck and not give him space. If you have somebody like Patrick Kane with the puck too, you're gonna have to go to him too.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, especially like, I mean, obviously, like it's no one's. I mean, obviously, people on Twitter, social media are going to overreact like they always do, but there's no need to hit the panic button yet. I mean, like it's been 2 games. Like, let them. He hasn't even practiced with the team yet, so get a couple practices. And these days off, I hope anyway, are going to be great for them.
Yeah, and that's that troll that was on Twitter last night talking about like how's Kane
whoa,
done. It's
whoa.
They're just like they're clowns, man. You can't even entertain them. That's why Donald was like, you know, go on Twitter. I was like, no, I'm not even gonna engage the guy.
It's the same as it's the same with the Bruins though. I mean, they were all going crazy the other day. They beat us. I'm like, guys, like, congratulations.
Yeah, 11 like, forwards, 5 D men.
Right, congratulations. Hold on. We're playing without 2 of our top 4 D men. Kane hasn't even gotten to practice, and you could see it in Kane's eyes. Like, I just want to point out, like, when I'm looking, he doesn't look like he's kind of like, oh shit, what did I do? Almost. That's what it seems like to me. And I feel like that's easy to happen though when you played for the same team for as long as he did. I mean,
look. 2 things. One, Panarin last year. I'm going to go back to when you said he didn't have a great playoffs. You're right, he didn't. He was also playing with a banged up shoulder. He was not healthy. I don't care what anybody tells you. I don't care his post-season interview. He said he was fine. He's full of shit. He was playing with a banged up shoulder. So that's just, I don't like to give guys passes for that because in the playoffs, Patrice Bergeron, for crying out loud, played with a collapsed lung in the Stanley Cup Finals. So you got to kind of gut it out at some point. And I think every shift he was kind of gutting it out. But in terms of, I mean, look, I watched the game Saturday intently. Boston is just damn good, but that was a damn good hockey game. It was 2-1 game going into the third. It was really, really good hockey.
And they just ran out of gas. I mean, again, they've been,
it's happened
every shorthanded game, since the Kane saga started. They've been playing, shorthanded just to make it work with everything.
Yeah, it's tough. Playing an NHL game against a heavy team like that with 5D is really,
and this would be a good segue.
And listen, it's one thing to have 5 defensemen. It's another thing to have 5 defensemen, including 2 of your top
Ben Harper.
Yeah,
once Ben Harper.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and 2 of your top 4. Like losing, like say what you want about Keandre and how he's been playing. It hasn't been his best stretch, but he's still a huge part of the game. Yeah. Lindgren makes Fox. I mean, I don't know if anybody really. I don't even know if there's maybe analytics to back this up. I don't even look into it. But just watching the game, I mean, Lindgren makes Fox take his game to another level. Fox has not been as noticeable without Ryan Lindgren on the ice. I mean,
I don't know. I think Fox is noticeable every time he's out there.
He is, but I'm telling you, just the way that they play and the way that he can rely on Lindgren in certain areas of the ice, especially below our own goal line, it's something like special. Like they have something together. And when he doesn't,
I was saying that to you, when last week, whatever it was. Like the Rangers' record with Lindgren and without Lindgren, it's like night and day. Like he's. Like obviously Igor, but like he's probably next up for like most valuable,
especially against the Bruins.
And in terms of them playing shorthanded, like I'm interested to hear your guys' opinion on this. Like I think it was the Ottawa game Thursday night with the whole emergency recall thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like under the CBA, if you go read the CBA, they should have had a recall for that game. But basically, the league was like they stepped in and they were like, no, like you were in an emergency already, and you chose to make the Kane trade. But like my thing is like, so when an opportunity presents itself, are you not like allowed to make your team better? Like,
that's not what the league was saying. What the league was saying was the way the rule is written and the way the CBA is written, that would have been an illegal transaction. And by the law of the land, by how it's written, that was fact. That was true, right? There is no conspiracy theory against the Rangers. Just as there was no conspiracy.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Just as there was no conspiracy theory that we all thought was against the Islanders when we lost Game 7 to Tampa 1-0 on a goal where Tampa was shorthanded but had 6 guys on.
Oh, here we go.
No. I'm just saying it for what it is, or the next season, or the next season when we started with a 14-game road trip, or
I think
right. Toronto. I mean, there's no conspiracy theories. The league is just in certain situations. The league is a joke. Right, you saw it. With
Andy, how about this? There's a conspiracy theory against the New York hockey teams. Is that?
I don't think there's a conspiracy at all. I think officiating is freaking horrible. I think the NHL The NHL discipline is absolutely inconsistently horrible. Like we saw with the spear that little shithead Kuznetsov got away with, spearing a guy in the balls,
and then scores 2 goals.
Yet you can elbow somebody in the face and they say it was a clean hit. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, that dude. People were like, "Oh, it's because he was so much bigger than mine."
But I'm like, this actually segues into what Anthony wants to talk about, and I know this is true. This is really bothering him, and it bothered me when I said I was at the bar watching the game with a couple of old high school buddies, and I said this when it happened. I was like, why with that offense are they pulling the fucking goaltender with 3 minutes left? It just made zero sense to me. I hate it. I'll always hate it. I hate it but I hate the shootout more than anything in sports that's ever been introduced or created. That's right under that in terms of what I hate.
I mean, my thing is at least wait to get possession. I mean, what?
That's the thing. I mean, I could see both sides of it. Like, you have an offensive zone draw, like it's Mika. You expect Mika to, win he wins those draws a lot.
Why would you expect that? First of all, second of all,
wow. Oh no, you gotta explain.
Brutal.
Trocheck can win a face-off.
I'm checking right now, actually, as you guys discuss this. I'm going to check what his face-off.
I don't know. I could see both sides, but again, yeah, you probably should at least wait until you get possession. And
no.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
My point is, you do that if your offense is struggling to score, or if you have an offense that's struggling to create. As I said, that was a really good hockey game. The Rangers had ozone time. They had possession time. They have an offense that can score at any given time. Why? I don't see the point in doing that.
Yeah. To your point, or if you have a very good offense that is pushing and you have possession in the zone and you think it's a good time to get another body in there and keep possession.
And I still
the other team is tired.
Left. I'll always hate it with 3 minutes left.
No, yeah, I think the right time for it is maybe a minute and a half at most, right? But again, I'm not for pulling the goalie at all until you have possession in the other end and you know that the other team is somewhat tired. They have fresh bodies on the ice. Giroux is on the ice that can win a face-off. So, I mean, like, I just don't really understand why so early and why without possession. There's 2 questions there.
Mika, by the way, is 48.7 on the year.
Exactly.
So, in comparison, Trocheck is 56.1.
Thank you.
Who the hell's their other center? Hedl, right?
Hedl.
Yeah. 39.4. He's terrible.
Not anything special.
Goudreau, 45.7.
Trocheck's the only one you trust in that situation.
Right.
And I just think it's, I mean, can you look at Giroux's? Because
Claude Giroux?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Because he's the one that you're going up against, and it's just dumb. It's stupid to me because it's situational. And I mean, then again, we're asking why. It's because Gerard Gallant's the coach, and he's not the brightest bulb. So
wow, Claude Giroux, 59.2.
I figured it was like.
See, I'm not even an analytics guy. I just have a D1 brain, and I can think about something like that.
That is a D1 brain right there. Look, here's the reality for the Rangers. Kane notwithstanding, Tarasenko notwithstanding, all this stuff is the Rangers, just like last year, and I said this to AJ, and AJ can vouch, before the season even started, okay? The Rangers season, again, is going to come down to the play between the pipes of Igor Shesterkin, period. In my opinion, period. They are not going to outscore teams in the playoffs. They're going to need Shesterkin. And my problem with Shesterkin is he is a far cry, statistically anyway. And I think I test as well in the games that I've seen. Now, granted, I don't watch them every night, but he is a far cry from what he was last year. And that
so far
would concern me about above. Last year, he was a 9. His save percentage last year was a 935. This year, it's a 909. That's a big drop off. That's a very big drop.
Well, I mean, that was like historic what he did last year. He was never going to do that again. But yeah, I mean,
he's never going to do that again. He was 932 as a rookie. He was 916 in his second year, 935 in his third year, down to 909
and this year he'll probably be like 915 by the end of the season.
AJ, like, we have to also think about the team is just
the team in front of them. The team has been playing
if you look at
the
if you look at some of these goals that they're letting up, I mean,
all the Bruin goals were not covering anybody in front. All the Bruins goals were lack of net front presence.
So what are you going to? For that? I don't care what goalie you have in net for that. I mean, yes, I do agree that he is not playing the way he was last year, but I'm not worried.
But
He's the last thing I'm worried about.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Igor either.
Okay.
That game against LA, like they played, they played tight D, and he made the saves he had to make, like he usually does, and they won. So yeah,
I think he'll do whatever it takes, right?
I'm not worried about him.
He'll be fine.
He'll do whatever.
But here, you're saying so back up to your point of when you said that they're not going to outscore teams in the playoffs. That's where the problem lies, is because the way that this team is built is to outscore teams in the playoffs.
And that's what I'm saying. That worries me. Like if Shesterkin gives up 4, I'm not saying that they don't have the talent to score 5, because they do, but are they going to be able to score 5, right? Like right now, I was looking at the standings today. The Devils, believe it or not, and we could shit on Devil fans all we want. The bottom line is their team has lost 15 games all season, and they are a very, very good team. Jack Hughes is having arguably an MVP. He's in the MVP discussion for me.
Yeah, definitely.
That team, the only worry I have with that team is the same worry that I have with the Rangers and Shesterkin's decline, let me say, in play. I'm not saying he's not great, but his decline year over year, I worry about long-term if Vitek Vanacek's going to hold up, right? That's my concern with the Devils. I'm not sure Vitek Vanacek's going to hold up. However, the Devils have an outside shot to catch Carolina. I don't think they will, right? The Rangers really have nowhere to go but that 3rd spot in the Metro. They're not catching New Jersey.
They could fall.
I really don't see it. I tried looking at it when I was eating. I tried looking at it when I was eating dinner tonight because AJ mentioned it to me the other day. I don't see it, right? I don't see the Penguins as currently constructed going on a massive run. There's less than 20 games left, guys. It's not like there's 30, 40 games left. There's less than 20 games left.
Well,
you're running out of time.
I'm just going to say one thing here. I placed a bet today.
Oh, Jesus.
I placed a bet today on somebody to win the Cup, and they're going to make the playoffs, the Senators.
Really?
You bet the Senators to win the Cup?
Wow. I mean, it's worth a shot.
What were the odds on that?
It was plus 10,000.
Wow.
To win the Cup.
Man.
And I do think that if they get in the playoffs, they're going to be an issue.
Well, they're playing really well now, and they added Chychrun, and Shabbat are going to be really exciting to watch for a long time.
The year that the Blues won, I placed a bet mid-season the same way. The Blues, remember that year? They were horrible. They weren't
they were in last place at Christmas.
Yeah. Yep. And I placed a bet on them to win the Cup because I looked at their team and I said,
seriously?
Yeah. And I said that this team is built to win a Cup. If they can figure it out, the way that the team makeup is, they're built to win a Cup. And if you look at Ottawa, I mean, obviously I haven't watched a ton of Ottawa's games. Mm-hmm. Part of that bet was in the beginning of the year. I think I placed like a $20. They were only plus 4,000 at the time, beginning of the year to win the Cup. They've gotten, obviously the odds have gotten higher because they haven't performed the way that I thought, but they have a lot of good players. Tim Stützle is,
Stützle's been really good. Kachuk is a fucking pain in the ass to play. Giroux is a great year. DeBrincat's playing well. Shabbat, Chychrun, Batherson. But again,
decent.
Cam Talbot. I mean, I don't see.
Yeah, but
Cam
they got
Talbot
2 goalies now that are looking.
Yeah, him and Forsberg. But I don't see Talbot being able to lead a team to a Stanley Cup final. That's just me.
They're rolling right now. That's all I'm going to say.
They are,
and they look good.
They're one of those teams. The schedule coming up is very, very good. I don't know if you guys have looked at the schedule in these last 18 or so games for a lot of these teams, but a lot of really good, important games coming up. Like the Islanders are really, really being pushed hard by Buffalo and by Ottawa. And Detroit's kind of fallen off their last 10. They've really played like shit their last 10. But the Islanders have games coming up against Pittsburgh, against Washington, against Buffalo, against Ottawa. They got just games like you wouldn't ordinarily turn on maybe because you have something else to do. No, that's something else to do is going to be watching some of these games.
I think the Rangers, they have like 2 or 3
against teams that we need you to win. Yeah, exactly.
Against Pittsburgh still.
Yeah, the Rangers could play spoiler and really shit on the Islanders by losing.
My thing overall is you can have the greatest regular season you want. Once the playoffs start, it's a different animal.
I said that to George, right? I said he was hee-hawing about Boston, and I'm like, okay. Boston's MO has been the same for the last 3 or 4 years. They've built big. They've built big. They've built grinding. They've built tough. Big, grinding, and tough also could equal slow, right? They have one of the most dominant first lines in hockey, bar none. Forget about it.
Their third line is very good.
Their third line is very good, but
very good.
My point with Boston is in the last. I actually looked this up. in the last 10 years, they've only advanced past the second round once. So
that brings me back to the Ottawa thing. So, I mean, because you're looking at that last place, right? So, I mean, that could happen.
Yeah.
Boston could play Ottawa,
Correct.
right, in the first round.
Yeah.
And I feel like teams like that are the teams, like you remember back when Tampa had that crazy season and they lost. They got swept by Columbus.
Yep.
All it takes is getting one hot team.
Yep.
And I feel like that's usually what happens to those teams, that even when the Rangers, remember that one year they won the President's Trophy? Didn't we lose?
I think we lost in the second round, maybe.
In the second round, but I don't think. Do you remember who we lost to?
Let me look it up.
And look what that did. Look what that did, and for Tampa's fortunes, right? When they got swept.
Oh, they might have. That might have been the year we lost to Tampa in the conference final. Actually,
you think?
I think so.
Tampa got swept by Columbus, and then they went on a hell of a run.
2015, the Rangers won the President's Trophy. Yeah, they lost in the conference final to Tampa.
Okay, so that's kind of an outlier, honestly. I feel like
teams. Look at when St. Louis won the cup. They went in January. They were last in the league.
Exactly,
and then they made the playoffs and they won the cup. It's like that kind of stuff happens.
And I just feel like Ottawa has that momentum right now if they keep it going. That's
you're also feeling what you wallet a little bit.
Well, that's why I made the bet. So
in terms of,
I mean, if it happens, it happens.
In terms of the Rangers, like I feel like if they do somehow end up winning the cup, like that DVD is going to go crazy because we're going to look back on these times and just laugh, like all the shit that they had to go through. And I think adversity in general is good for a team. Like it builds up.
What adversity have they had to go through?
No, they're going through it right now, right? And that was one of the things.
What adversity? They literally just picked up Vladimir Tarasenko and Patrick Kane. What adversity?
You can look at Twitter.
The adversity on there. No, explain it to me. Explain it to me. What adversity? What adversity?
Their past 5 games, they're playing short 2 guys.
They're playing like crap. Okay. They're hamstrung by the cap where they have $8,000 in room. And they're playing with 5D. That sucks, but it is a problem of their own doing. All things being equal, it's not
I'm
like
just saying it hasn't been easy. Boston's had it easy the whole year. So I'm just saying once they get in the playoffs,
Lindgren got hurt. That sucked. But again, teams deal with injuries this time of the year.
Injuries are adversity.
Injuries are adversity. True, that is fact.
What they're going through right now is they're going through.
Condre Miller doing what probably everybody in the league wants to do, but doesn't have the balls or the time for a suspension, and spit in Drew Doughty's face. He does that, which was a stupid time for him to do that.
All right, but let's back it up there. I don't think he meant to do it.
What?
It looked like one of those. No. I'm being serious. It looked like something, one of those where it's like a Twitch thing where he goes to. I'm serious. He does it. He does spit like that. So it looked like he did it, and then it just happened. It was there.
Come on.
I'm serious. If he spit on him and I didn't think that he meant to do it, I would admit that. I really don't think that he meant to spit on him. Whether he meant to spit on the ground or just whatever to the side.
On the ground, he literally.
But have some awareness. Know the situation.
He didn't
5 guys around.
He spit with his standing still.
He spit right in his face.
All right. Well, whatever.
Whatever.
He got his 3-game suspension while whatever the other douchebag that hit what's his name the other night is sitting at home on his couch. So.
Oh, I was fuming, bro. I was screaming at my
dude with the black eye that's been suspended multiple times.
Yeah, he looked scary, dude.
And the thing is, too, they were teammates.
He looked like he got bit by a zombie. He looked like he was literally got bit by a zombie.
They were just teammates a week before that. It's why are you running? Was it personal? It could have been.
He was on the cast of The Last of Us last week. That's why.
He literally looked like he just got bit by a freaking zombie.
Him and Model
scary looking. But I wouldn't even if that guy was playing, I wouldn't even. I wouldn't play. I'd say, coach, scratch me. I don't even want to step on the ice with this guy. He is terrifying.
But the adversity thing, right? I just hope that the Rangers use all of this stuff going on, Kane is washed, this and that. The Rangers aren't going to do anything. I hope that this helps fuel them a little bit. That's all. I hope that's
my thing. Yeah, to shut people like Andy up.
Yeah, exactly.
Shut people like me. Dude, I'm the best fan you will ever fucking encounter.
No, I'm just to say what they're going through right now.
I am at this age in my life. I'm not a hater. I don't fan like that anymore. I don't
I know. I'm just saying.
That's not how I do it. Look. There was something. Me and a Twitter friend of mine, Matt, were kind of going back and forth. There was a question that like those random questions that pop up on Twitter, like post a picture saying your name but don't say your name, stupid shit like that. There was one that said, "What is your hottest sports take?" And me and Matt, our hottest sports takes were, we don't actually hate the Rangers. And that's true, right? I mean, my wife's a Ranger fan. My son's a Ranger fan. A lot of my friends are Ranger fans. I was at the bar Saturday watching a Ranger game with Ranger fans. I don't hate the Rangers. I don't sit there and at 52 years old fan like, oh, F them. I hope they lose. I hope this guy gets hurt. I hope I hope their plane crashes. Like, I've heard that before. I just don't do that. It doesn't do anything for me at this point. It just doesn't. Of course, I'm an Islander fan, and I want to see the Islanders win. And if the Islanders played the Rangers, it'd be freaking fantastic.
Yeah.
But I don't fan like that no more. I'm sorry. And I know diehard Islander fans hate me for it, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Listen, and I used to be like that my whole life with the Devils. I used to hate the Devils. Like,
yep.
And I still obviously have like a hatred in my heart for them. But at the same time, I know they're good, and I like some of their players.
Right.
So I thought the Dougie Hamilton signing was great. I thought that them getting Timo Meier was great.
Yep.
I think I hate the fans more than I actually hate the team.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's just that the way that they are. I mean, it's like it's literally almost like they care more about like us than their own team.
But isn't that every fan base though, Ant?
No, I don't care about. I don't care. No. I'm not out there going back in tweets to tweet at a Devil fan saying, "How's Timo Meier doing?" when I'm worried about my own team. Like I can
That's true. That guy did come out of nowhere.
Yeah, that tweet was from my tweet was from like a week ago.
And I'm not all over Twitter talking about like Timo Meier or Patrick. Like
he probably like went on his phone like
player.
I'm gonna look for a Kane tweet. I'm gonna troll Ranger fans.
It's like it's just like. Dude. I don't know, and I just hate their energy. Like I know a ton of Devils fans. Like,
listen, man,
their energy.
We went to
Dawson Mercer, Jack Hughes are the best players in the league. Like, oh, look at this. Like, I'm just like, dude, come on. Like,
we went to a Ranger Devil game at the Rock, and they are the most obnoxious people that I've ever encountered. Like, even worse than any fan base that I've encountered.
Dude, I'm not.
Okay, you were gonna say it. No. Say what you were gonna say. Say what you were gonna say. I heard.
No, they're not worse. They're not worse than Islander fans.
I heard what you were gonna say. I think every fan base.
No, they're worse. No, sorry, they're worse than Islander fans. What I meant to say.
We see it in the. I find it funny, right? We see it in the NFL all the time. Like we see it with Eagle fans and Raider fans who are like the biggest dicks in the entire universe. We see it in hockey. I feel like the one sport we never see it in is baseball, right? Like you don't. It's hard in baseball to say, oh, that fan base sucks, because baseball typically is kind of a more slow, boring, kind of monotonous.
Yankees,
game.
Red Sox gets there.
Yankees, Red Sox, but that's just because we think everyone from Massachusetts are massholes. We think they're all massholes, right? Yeah. Like they're all like, I'm better than you. I'm noses in the air. That's how just the impression that we have of them. I know some people from Boston that are like that. I know others that aren't. So it's like, you don't want to cover everybody with that blanket statement, but it's just funny to me. Like I just feel like, especially in hockey and football, I don't follow basketball, so I'm not going to comment on that. You just find those pockets of fans that are just. You just shake your head and you're like,
the Devils have them.
Like I said, I think I just dislike the fans more than I actually dislike the team.
I think
AJ just likes the team. AJ hates the
team. They're corny to me. They're so corny.
They are. And Jack Hughes is pompous, and
even on Twitter, like whoever their admin is, like, get a grip, dude. Like,
it's the whole thing, the entire thing.
That's
outside of the actual players on the team.
Obviously it's probably going to happen. That series is going to be wild.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
All right. Ant wants to take us out here by talking about video review. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Ant. You can tell us where you want to go on video review.
Video review. I think my number one thing is I want it to be challengeable, right? So I want there to be things that you can challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. For instance, I guess it gets into a bit of a situation when you can say, like, okay, if you get a challenge, do you keep the challenge, right?
Right.
So if there's a high stick, like the other night, there was a high stick, somebody on their own team, high stick, their own player, they got the call wrong. They knew it right away. Once the video came up, it's like, okay, so how do you not make that right? Right. So how can a coach not challenge that? If that's a game 7 and the official makes a bad call like that, You're going to tell me that the coach isn't allowed to challenge something they just saw on the board, showing them.
So you want basically them to open up the challenge playbook to allow for more instances of being able to challenge.
We have video review. Why are we not using it? I mean, why use it for an offsides challenge that happened?
I mean, you think like,
well, it's fair, right? Because in baseball, they allow you to review a bad call at first base, for instance, which is an umpire's discretion.
In soccer with VAR, you know, they review handballs, offside,
handballs, offsides, penalties, red card fouls. They're reviewing now.
If you're gonna bring that into hockey, you have to be like, I think you have to be very clear about what's challenged.
Yes, exactly. I agree.
But do you not agree that?
But that's something. That's something.
But they did kind of modify it, right? Didn't they? Because don't they now automatically review for potential majors? Like they did that for the elbowing penalty that
for the Watson hit.
Watson should got suspended on. They actually gave him a minor, but then they reviewed it and upped it to a major and a game.
Yeah, and then after the game, they said it should have been a clean hit.
And after the game, they should have said, it was a clean hit.
Which how does that even?
Right. You know, such a joke.
How do they contact Toronto, go over that, assess a major, and then after the game the next day say it wasn't even?
That's a good point. That's a good point too. Like you could put those rules in place, but then you have to put the right people in place to make sure everything goes smoothly. Which the NHL clearly doesn't right now.
And listen, I'm not saying that. So this is where that line gets drawn, right? I'm not saying that a tripping call that they need to go and spend 10 minutes to assess whether it was really a trip or like, did he, whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be a line of like a high stick, right? It can be challenged if you think that their own player was the one who actually high sticked your player, right? Mm-hmm. That's something, but like a trip. I don't know. I don't know if I want them to go that far where it's like, was it really a trip? Did he like just nudge his skate or this or that? Like, because then that Kreider break the other day was a penalty that they missed. You're going to challenge that. So I think the high sticking, the over the glass delay a game, definitely.
Yeah, that should definitely.
That should be reviewed. Yeah.
I mean, that's a joke that's not reviewable. I'm sorry. But like, come on. You have video, like you have all this technology. I mean, why choose to do it on a offsides call from zone time that was 5 minutes ago and not be able to
and like there's sometimes I feel like there's been times too where like the league or like Toronto, they get certain angles that they don't show on TV, and I'm like, why don't you show the fans that angle? Like, because then they make the call and it's like people think they got it wrong, but they actually
I think it's pretty simple. I think this spans across all sports. Make the officials available to the media after the game. Period.
Oh, that'd be brutal.
Oh God.
Period. Make them answer for it. Especially there's no sport that I feel more strongly about than the NFL. And make those officials answer for their ass after the game. Period.
And listen, I used to ref hockey. Like I understand how hard it is. It's really not
very
easy.
Difficult.
It's very difficult.
I mean, we make it seem like it's easy,
but that's my point. Is why not help these guys? I mean, they're out there officiating these games, and it's really amazing how well they actually do. People don't even understand until you're, unless you've ref before at that speed.
Right.
Because you're watching on TV, it's so easy. It's so easy to say that stuff. But when you get into a game, it's totally different. And I would love to have help. I would love to feel like, okay, if I mess this call up, let me call this and not question myself. And if I mess it up, it's going to get corrected anyway.
Yep.
Give them more confidence to make the right calls and actually do that. Because right now you can't have that stuff come playoff time. And I feel like it's every year. It's just the same stuff.
I agree.
You remember that game in, what was it, Vegas? Well, the first year they were in the league and they played, was it San Jose? And there was a huge 5-minute penalty that turned the entire series.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't even really a penalty.
They scored like 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
And it wasn't really even a penalty. So they
Oh yeah, I remember that incident in the San Jose game. That didn't that pretty much cost them the series?
Yep.
It did, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember what the call was. Was it?
I think it was a high hit, but I think it was something like it wasn't really even his player or something. Like it was something weird that was not
something correct. That you felt could have been reviewed and corrected, and it wouldn't have cost them the series.
Yes, 100%.
I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
I see exactly what you're saying.
But I don't know. I just think we have technology, and at this point, why not use it? Why not use it to help the officials make the right call? Because that's all I hear now from all the announcers. Oh, they got it right. That's what's important. It's like, yes, they got it right. That's what's important. So why not? Why are we still getting things wrong then? Right?
That's true. That's a good point.
We can all see it, 5 to 10 seconds after it happens. We can all see it when it's wrong. So then why can't they correct it? The crowd is booing, looking at the screen right above them, and they're skating the guy to the penalty box, even though everybody knows it's wrong.
And you've seen that sometimes, right? Where the guy's skating to the box going like this, like, oh, look.
Yeah. And they know, and then they apologize to the coach. It's like, why not just correct it right then? Why can't you?
No, I definitely see your point.
Let's get you on the board, Ant. Let's get you signed up.
What does that mean?
Like get you in the league. So you're gonna change the rules.
Yeah, sign me up, dude.
All of our dream jobs, right? It's like whoever grew up, like, especially playing hockey, and obviously if you played hockey, you watched hockey, so I'm not gonna be a jerk and separate the two. There's really no separation for me, but I think that, right, that's always like when you're growing up, like, oh, I'd love to work in hockey, I'd love to do this, love to do that. Look, I mean, I got the opportunity not to work in hockey per se, but to cover it as part of media for 6 years. It's not what it's cracked up to be.
I mean, we talked about this and me wanting to scout, what I wanted to do. And I guess, I mean, I still think I would love it. I still think I would love being around it. And
it started out like, and again, that's different than media. Media is just a shitty profession, I think, especially this day and age, before any other age. But I think that it started out like really cool. Like, wow, this is like intense. Like I'm standing in front of these players talking to whoever I want. Like it's pretty, I was like right by the glass, by the tunnel where the Islanders came off when Thomas Hickey scored in overtime at Barclays against Florida rather. And just some really, really cool moments and meeting some really, really cool people, getting to meet my idol, Steve Yzerman, Dennis Potvin, Chico Resch, Billy Smith, Doc Emmerich, like it's just, I can go on and on and on, but then it started becoming a job. It started feeling like a job, and I already had a job. So I was like, this is getting to be a little too much. The grind is just not worth the reward. And I started realizing quickly that, 3 months into the season, they're just giving you the same canned responses. Like you're really getting nothing. You're really getting no benefit, especially if you don't work for a major media outlet or a major paper like the Post or the Daily News or Newsday, or, you know what I mean? You're really not getting anything substantial that you couldn't get from not going, right? Yeah. It's all, we got to work the puck in deep. We got to work hard on the forecheck. We got to push the defenseman. We got to get pucks to the net. Yeah. Like it's the same garbage over and over again. And I'm like, there's really no point in me coming out to a game after a full day's of work, getting home at 1 a.m. to go right back on the bus at 6 the next day. I'm not getting anything out of it. What's in it for me? And so that's kind of why I would think it would be a little different if you had like a real job with a real NHL club. I would think it would be a little bit different. Yeah. Like I said, media is just a shitty profession right now.
Really. While we're on the media topic, sorry, AJ. You're good. There was something I saw on Twitter today about one of the Buffalo writers, or I don't even know, reporters, whatever. And he was like basically like shooing a kid away that was like supposedly got like the courage to like go up to the group when they were talking to a player, and she was a younger kid. And basically the guy was like kind of edging her on to go up there. And then the guy basically like told her to back off and leave. And he's like getting roasted all over Twitter. And
I've seen that happen in front of my face. I have seen it happen, and it's embarrassing for everyone involved, I think.
I was going to ask you, is this something that like, cause I know one thing could get pointed out, but it's like, all right, does this happen all over the place? Is that like,
it depends what kind of a person you are, right? Like I knew going into that room that I wasn't ever going to cut Stan Fischler off. Stan got the first interview with the first player of his choosing, period. And when I was standing next to Stan and he was talking, there wasn't even a thought of interrupting. It was wait till fucking Stan's done. And if I can't get a question in because the player's done with after Stan, then it is what it is. But so it's kind of like you kind of need a mentor, I tell people, right? You can't just go into that job without a mentor. You just can't.
Would you ever do that though? If a kid was coming up, like it looked like she was a junior, like she looked like she was nervous, right? So whoever she was with was kind of helping her and saying, go over there, whatever.
Yep.
And this guy, supposedly he has like a past with this. He's known for it or something, but there's a video of him and he's like basically telling her to go away and like kind of backing her off. And she looks like she's like you know, and I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what it's like.
Unprofessional. It's unprofessional.
It was another reporter that shoot her up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unprofessional. It's dickish. It's something that I've seen happen. I'm not going to mention who I saw it happen to or who was the offending party, but I've seen it happen a couple of times in the Islanders room. Not often. I did 6 years. I can maybe say twice I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Because we were generally a pretty close-knit, good bunch of guys and girls, and we usually didn't, men and women, I should say, not in middle school, duh. So it didn't happen an awful lot. We had a lot of mutual respect for each other. We kind of knew when to back off and when to go ahead and this and that. We kind of had a good flow, when we say, going. But I could see how it can happen, especially if you're an egotistical maniac, right? There are a lot of egotistical maniacs in media who think they're going to be, you know, the next freaking star on TSN or you know, I mean, Hockey Night in Canada. And again, I just think it's unprofessional. I mean, I think everyone starting out in that profession needs to have a mentor. If you don't have a mentor, you're going to be lost because there's just so much to know. There's so much to learn. There's so many nuances of, again, like you just said, like who to go in front of, who not to go in front of, when to back off, when to go forward, when to get your question in, how to frame your question. You know, it's just
my other
so
thing
much.
Like this guy that was basically helping her to go in there. Wouldn't he know that? Wouldn't you know that this guy? I mean, like, I don't know.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. He might not. I mean, I mean, I don't know who she was. Like I said, I'll go back and review the incident myself. I don't know if she was an away team reporter because, like I said, I covered the Islanders, but they were after, like, I'm going to say starting in probably like the middle of year 3, heading into year 4, I would go into the visitor room all the time because it's the same group that I've been talking to through training camp and for the first 30 games. And come like game 30, I was in the visitor room all the time. I was in the Rangers room and the Penguins room and the Lightning room and, you know, talking to all those guys, even for morning skates. I would go in the visitor room and talk to them because it's like I've been talking to the same group for 3 years now. They're kind of sick of seeing me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and like coming from that, I mean, like you said, it does get repetitive, right? I mean, there's even certain players that I usually watch all the post game interviews after every game.
Same shit.
And it's usually the same. You know, Gallanto is the same thing over and over. It's like
coaches are the same.
You know, I've noticed Mika too. He's not really a good interview.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Schneider's a good interview. He's got some quotes.
There's certain guys, right? Like Evgeny Nabokov was an absolute freaking hoot. Like he would literally walk around the room, he'd like be flashing us. He'd come out of the shower and just take his towel off. Like he was a fucking nut. He would like interview Stan with his towel like around his shoulder. He was an absolute fucking nut. Kyle Oposo, me and Kyle got into it a couple times, got a little testy. Michael Grabner was awesome. I remember going into the Ranger room and spending like 20 minutes talking to Dominic Moore about face-offs. Ryan McDonough was cool. Lundqvist was cool. Kevin Hayes was a goofball. Yeah. He was just a lot of fun.
You ever get to interview Yandel?
I never interviewed Yandel, but that's where AJ will tell you that's where my hatred. Like you guys hate Chris Kreider because of how he plays. I hate Chris Kreider because he gave me serious masshole vibes.
I don't hate Kreider.
Really serious.
I never said that.
Well, Ann hates Kreider, but George hates Kreider. No, George feels the same as Ann. George hates Kreider too.
I don't hate Kreider. No.
All right, hate's a strong word, right?
But Kreider gave me serious masshole vibes. Like when I talked to him, I was just
if
like,
if you want to talk hate, when you meet my dad, you will see somebody who hates Kreider. You will. My dad cannot stop. I mean, he hates him, but like he wants him to get hurt. That's how much.
Wow, that's wow.
But me, like, you know,
that's pretty bad.
Listen, I give him credit when it's due, right? He has goals where I'm like, that tip was nasty, that play was nasty. Yeah. But my thing is just the overall like when he had 2 hits the other night. He had 2 hits, and I was like, holy shit. He just hit 2 people. Right, and I was like, look at this guy.
With the lack of physicality and the
it's everything. It's just the way, like, you see the puck going off the boards, and he just.
I will say there's a lot of times it looks like he's just going through the motions.
Yeah. Like he doesn't want to he doesn't want to make a difference. Listen, and that's the other reason why I think the Rangers, I think they have too many people on the team where nobody cares enough to make a difference and make a play and make something happen on their own, right? There's a lot of people just skating around. There's a lot of people, like, I noticed a play. Oh, the goal the other day when Hedel was behind Trouba. I think it was on the Bertuzzi pass to the slot. Hedel went, and if you look at the replay, he goes to almost like as if he's going to go and check Bertuzzi and go towards the puck, and then he checks, right? And he comes back into his position. And he gets caught. And I'm like, listen, but I guess that's coaching, right? I guess that's your system. Because for me, you watch other teams, they don't second guess. They get there, they're going to the puck. It's hockey, right? You're going to try to make a play. You're going to try to stop them. You're not worried about, wait, am I in the technically the right position? I don't like that. I hate that.
I think it's tough. I think right now they're just going through a rough patch. Like, I think
that's what I mean.
They're not as confident as they were, a couple of months ago. They're not, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of changes happening.
Listen, I play hockey, right? So I know that. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can ask even my brother, right? He played for Middletown North. He had the Matty and whoever else the other coach was. My brother's a great hockey player. He's always been a great hockey player. Coaching makes a difference because he was not able to play his game. He was worried about, am I in the right position? Am I doing the right thing? If I do this wrong, am I going to get benched? Am I not going to play the rest of the game? And I know it's at a different level, right? But there's got to be some of that going on at all levels. I mean, there's no other reason why you would second guess yourself and going for a puck and winning a battle. Like, if you're going to go to the battle, win it, right? Like, if you're going to go do it, make sure you win it. Who's going to question you, right? Get there. But instead you're backing off and you're trying to worry about position. I just hate that. It looks bad. He got caught. By backing up, he was checking like this. He got caught. Puck went between his legs. It's a goal. If he goes to the puck, it's a different story. You try to win that battle. I don't know.
Look at Tampa right now. I mean, Tampa's going through it, and you saw the other day, Cooper, he had no problem benching Kucherov, Stamkos, some points.
That's a coach, though.
John Cooper's my fucking favorite. He's my
That's
favorite
a coach, man.
I ever spoke to. My favorite
coach.
Half hour with John Cooper, and I felt like I knew him for 30 years. He was unbelievable. Just unbelievable. I can't say enough about him.
But that's a coach, right? He's not.
By the way, Middletown North just won the state championship. By the way.
I know. My mom texted me before.
Yeah.
Hey, let's
great.
go.
But I
think Gallant, he doesn't have a problem, calling. He's called the superstars out in like pressers before, but he's never gone to the.
He does it behind closed doors, I think.
He said there's a couple of times he said it publicly. Like he's called them out.
It's rare.
Yeah, no, it's rare for sure. But
at some point, right? I mean,
I will say, I think Tarasenko and Kane are both. Honestly, they're both game breakers. Like, they could take over. I think they could take over a game.
I hope. That's why you got them, right?
And again, I mean, you made
your lips to God's ears, AJ. Your lips to God's ears.
You made the point, last playoffs, like, you add a guy like Kane in, like Panarin was taken out. Like, if guys like Panarin and Mika get taken out, well, all right, you still have Kreider, Tarasenko, Kane, you have the kid line.
Kreider's not going to do anything. That's my point.
You can't talk Kreider with in.
I can 100% say that.
No, you can't.
I can 100%. Unless the puck is getting.
Hold on.
Unless there's an empty net and he puts a stick down the ice and it hits it and goes in, or he makes a deflection.
Pump the brakes.
He is not doing it on his own.
Lightning round.
Never doing it.
Lightning round. Who will the Rangers play in the first round? Who? I sound like a fucking owl. Huh?
Devils.
So you both think they're going to finish third and play the Devils?
Yeah.
With New Jersey having home ice. Fair enough. Who gets Who gets the final wild? Who gets the 2 wild card spots in the East?
Oof.
Yeah.
Ottawa. I'm saying Ottawa.
Yeah. Well, you bet on them, so you got to say that.
Yeah, I truly think. I mean, I believe that, or else I wouldn't have made that bet.
I'm writing these down, so I'm going to hold you to them.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I could.
I don't think Detroit. I don't think Buffalo. Tage Thompson is. I mean, I think he's one of the best players right now in the league.
That's not what I asked you.
But I bring us to my point. I think he's one of the best players in the league, and I would love to see him in the playoffs. But I don't think they're going to make it.
So you think it's going to be Pittsburgh? You think it's going to hold as Pittsburgh and the Islanders then?
One of them, and Ottawa.
Oh, and Ottawa. That's right. So Ottawa and Pitt. Well, you got to pick one: Pitt or the Islanders.
I'll let AJ go here first.
Don't look. If you want to say Pitt, just say Pitt. Don't be afraid.
I don't know. No, I really. It's. I don't know.
I think Pitt, and I think the Islanders sneak in.
I'll agree. I think the Islanders get in, and
so I think Ottawa, the Islanders for you, and AJ thinks Pitt and the Islanders.
Yeah,
I think the Islanders sneak in.
And then the Islanders, as virtue of a wild card spot, are either they're gonna be facing one of two, either Boston or Carolina, and they're getting fucking waxed by both of those. And look, I'm an Islander fan.
But I don't know
the Islanders. And that's interesting you say that, because a lot of people said that. A lot of people, just get in and anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
And,
it's true.
Listen, they play a shitty defensive style hockey.
Boring.
And if they get in the playoffs, they could beat anyone by playing like that.
Sorokin is Sorokin. If he
and they've gone on deep runs. They know.
Listen, they have to be one of the worst teams to watch from just a pure entertainment standpoint.
Oh, it's boring as fuck. Yeah.
You can't even argue it. You can't argue it.
You want to take a nap? You want to take a 2-hour nap? Watch an Islander game.
Yeah, come on.
Right to sleep.
You have to admit that.
Wow, I'm not admitting anything. I'm not admitting anything.
But that's
playoff hockey.
That's Lou hockey, man.
That's Lane Lambert in his first go round this year, I think, tried to make them more offensive, and they were just. Their defense was an absolute sieve, just an absolute nightmare. And the last 15 games or so, I think kind of Lane has gone back to that Barry Trotz way, because he was an assistant under Trotz before Lou Lamoriello infamously fired Trotz.
Yeah.
So Lane kind of went back to that Trotz mentality of D first. And in these last 15 games, it's really shown in their records. So, you know what, boring or not, if it wins hockey games, it wins hockey games at the end of the day.
Can't argue it. Exactly.
And they made back-to-back conference finals, game sevens off the back of that kind of hockey. So, and nobody could fucking tell me. All right. The reason we were so pissed when we lost 1-0 in that game 7 on that Yanni Gourde goal where the Lightning had too many guys on the ice, it wasn't that we were being conspired against. It wasn't that there was a conspiracy against the Islanders. You could even argue that it wasn't too many men because the guy was actually going off the ice, and you know how they give that kind of grace period, and it was arguable, in other words, right? There were six guys on the ice. They were shorthanded, but it was arguable if you point out those factors.
Mm-hmm.
What bothered us so much was that, if you remember that year, who made the finals was Montreal. We would have fucking waxed Montreal. There is no doubt in my mind that if we get through that game 7 with Tampa, we would have waxed Montreal. And that's what hurt so bad. That's why we were so upset, because we would have it was definitely a chance that went begging, like really begging.
I mean, this wild.
Listen, if it were me, I'd be the same way.
Yeah, so. It was really like that hurt more than anything. And you're looking at someone who saw 4 straight Stanley Cups and cried when Wayne Gretzky ended our shot at a 5th. I was 12 years old at my cousin's house in Long Island, and Wayne Gretzky, the Oilers were up 4-0 in the clinching game. Pat LaFontaine scored 2 late goals to make it 4-2, and I was like getting all excited, like there was hope. And then they ended up losing. Gretzky lifted his first cup, and I fucking cried. But that loss to Tampa hurt me deeper because I knew there was no way Montreal was beating us that year. There was just no way.
Yeah.
No, they did not match up at all with us.
Yeah.
But
so then
what's it meant to be?
So then it would be, in my case, it would be Boston, Ottawa. It would be Boston, Carolina, Islanders.
Ottawa, Carolina. If the Islanders were, if your wild card is Islanders, Ottawa, then Ottawa would play Boston. Correct.
Rangers, Devils, Toronto.
Devils, Toronto, Tampa. Right. And I think Toronto waxes Tampa, especially the way Tampa's playing right now.
I don't even know what to think. I've said
4 shots in 2 periods. 4 shots in 2 periods.
But it's still Tampa, and
I know, and it's still John Cooper. I know.
But Toronto, they can't win a first round. They just can't do it.
All right, AJ, who's your surprise team in the West? Who's your dark horse in the West?
I'm looking at this.
I was gonna say I don't even know about the West because they're so irrelevant.
Look at it. I love it. That's honest.
Well, I've been looking at it because I'm looking at the wild card race in the East. Like you have the Islanders at 72, Pitts at 71.
Yeah, well, look at the games.
Let me ask you guys.
I'm just saying Buffalo and Washington.
But look at the games played. Every team's got like 4 games in hand on us. That's the problem.
Yeah, can I go back on my pick?
No.
Okay, well, so you guys don't think there's any shot the Panthers get in?
I don't think so.
I could see them getting in.
They're 3 points back.
The 3 points back of the final wild card?
Yeah.
Well, Buffalo through Washington's all at 68.
That's what I said. Games in hand.
I'm not talking about games in hand. I'm talking about points.
You're talking about points.
Yeah, Caps, Panthers, Senators, and Sabres were all tied.
They're all at 68, and then Pitts
Yeah, the only problem is the Caps and the Panthers played 64, and Ottawa played 62, Sabres 61.
Right.
So you got a couple of games
what's Florida
there.
played? 64?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't
It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight.
Like team that I think can make a run.
Who do you think can make a run in the West? I like a lot of teams in the West. I'd like to see Seattle make some noise. They've been a pretty exciting team this year.
They can't stop anything, though.
I know. That's their problem.
I think Winnipeg.
Ooh, interesting.
They're a team that no one talks about.
Yeah, I mean they're quiet. You know, they're having a decent year quietly. You know,
I can't believe the Flames, man.
They have Connor Hellebuck. He's a stud. Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, Ellers, Kyle Connor.
How can you not believe the Flames? That Kachuk for Huberdeau trade's been a nightmare for them.
You mean Kachuk and
the Jets are solid.
But they got Kadri, like their team. They're okay, yeah, but it hasn't been good.
I mean, losing Gaudreau and Kachuk was tough for them.
I think the wild card is the friggin' Oilers. I mean, they have the best player in the world.
But again, they're like Seattle though. They can't.
It's just
Connor
amazing.
McDavid. Connor McDavid is too good for. I tell AJ this all the time. Connor McDavid. The NHL is not good enough for Connor McDavid. He's too good for the league.
It's just amazing to me.
There's nowhere for him to play.
And they lose games. It's amazing.
Because they can't stop anything, just like you said about Seattle. I'm personally keeping my eye on Minnesota in the West.
I love Minnesota. I would love to see if it wasn't the Rangers, I want to see Zook lift the cup.
They could play a lot of different. They could play an offensive style with Kaprizov just dominating, or they could kind of go into that defensive shell and play a defensive style if you want.
You know what I looked at today, though? I actually looked at this today, their lineup. You remember how I said that about the Blues? I was like, you know what? Let me look at a couple of teams and see if I look at their roster, who's built for the playoffs. And then I see Ryan Reeves on their fourth line, and I'm like, I just can't do it. I can't say that they're going to win the cup with that fourth line with him on the ice. I watched it all last year. I mean,
So who's your surprise team in the West, Dan? If AJ's is Winnipeg and mine is Minnesota, who's yours?
I want to say I had all year the Kings, but but the way that we beat them with 5 defensemen the other day, and it looked almost easy. And knowing how bad we're playing makes me second guess it a little bit. Maybe Korpisalo can kind of take them over the top if he can find his game, because he's a good goalie. But I don't know.
The West is kind of like a crapshoot.
Yeah, I mean, like you look at a team like Dallas who's leading the Central, right? You're like, they're only leading the Central because they've lost 13 games in overtime, right? They got 13 loser points.
Is Vegas legit?
Look at Vegas again. Yeah, they're fucking most points in the West. Like,
is Vegas legit now? I mean, are they?
They've always been legit. I think they've always been legit.
Yeah, they've been there. They just got.
You kind of look at their team. I was watching their game the other night against the Devils, and outside of Eichel and maybe Marchessault, you're really not blown away with the names, but they get it done. They just continue to get it done.
I mean, Shea Theodore is I love Shea Theodore. I don't know what the Ducks were thinking. I mean,
they got Pietrangelo back there too. Like,
he's awesome. Shea Theodore is great. I mean, at least I test everything that I see. He looks awesome whenever I see him play. He makes a lot of defensive plays, a lot of good passes, breaking out. So I think they have Leonard's out, right? He's been hurt all year.
Oh, isn't it? It's that young.
No, they have Aiden Hill and Logan Thompson.
Thompson. Isn't Thompson hurt though? I think
Thompson's hurt. Aiden Hill's been carrying. Well, now they got Jonathan Quick now.
Yeah, and Hill's been pretty good too.
Hill's been pretty good, but
imagine that. Imagine if they play the Kings. That'd be wild.
Yeah, the Kings are only 2 points behind them. But they probably, unless Seattle jumps one of them.
Still in the cards.
They meet in the second round or something.
One of them would. Well, wait, if they meet in the second round, yeah.
They're not playing Jonathan Quick though.
I would.
I don't know. They played him. They played him last night. So
Thompson's your guy. If he's back, if he's healthy.
If he's back, if he's healthy, yeah.
So that's the other thing.
I would love to see Quick knock out the Kings.
But yes, I will be going for the Wild. If it's in the West, I'm going for the Wild. I love Zuccarello. I always will. I think that's the dumbest thing we've ever done in the history of the franchise, at least while I've been alive, was getting rid of Zuccarello. So I will always root for him. He's probably him and Fox are my two favorite players.
I mean, we do that. They do that.
AJ thinks Adam Fox is the best defenseman that's ever lived. So
I agree. I think he's the smart.
Yeah,
If you want to say, if you don't want to agree with that, I think he's the smartest defenseman to ever live.
That's ever lived. Like Bobby Orr, Dennis Potvin, Jean Beliveau.
Listen, when we go back,
ever lived.
First of all, if we want to,
you can't do that. You said ever lived.
Wait, listen. If we want to start there, we got to start digging up graves outside too to go back that far in time. Number one. Number two, we're talking about. Number two, we're talking about like. It's a different game. How can you compare defensemen now to the way the game was played then?
You guys said ever lived.
To ever live, yeah.
You guys both said ever lived.
To ever walk on the planet.
That's why I said that.
It's Adam Fox.
Yes. Then I'll stand by that. Fine. I haven't watched
Jean Beliveau, Dennis Potvin, Bobby Orr, Larry Robinson, like Scott Stevens.
Listen, but do you think those players can play in today's league?
Barry Beck.
Do you think that all those defensemen can play in today's league?
No.
No. Now that's a conversation you can't cross errors.
Exactly. So.
But then you can't make the statement that he's the best that's ever lived.
Adam Fox will go back and play with those guys and be the best defenseman that's ever lived, can he? So,
dude, that's facts. Right. We gotta.
You know what? I'm calling it. I'm calling it on that. I'm out.
No, that's gonna be the clip.
Islander fan out.
That
fucking guys are crazy.
I've said that. I've been saying that forever.
He's really something else.
He's really good. He's look. It's really something. It's really it must be incredible to be a fan of a team where, you know, the best free agent in the market only wants to come to you, and the best offensive player on the trade market only wants to come to you, and one of the best young defensemen, his dream was to always play for the Rangers, so he forces his way onto the fucking Rangers. It must be great. It must be great. That's all I'm going to say. I
don't know about that. It's not all that great being a Ranger fan. I'll tell you that right now.
Haven't won shit, so
it's a lot more painful than it is fun. I'll tell you that.
All right, real quick. When do we think Kane gets his first point? Thursday?
Yeah.
I don't even know when they play. They play what, Thursday, Saturday?
They're Thursday at Montreal, Saturday at Buffalo, Sunday at Pitt.
Saturday in his hometown.
I think he gets one Thursday. I think.
Wait, are we talking goal or point?
Point.
Just point.
Saturday in Buffalo.
Goal Saturday.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Well, guys,
I think it's going to be an off the wall clapper, his patent clapper off the wall.
Off the wall clapper.
I want it to be like a breakaway, like dangle. That'd be sick.
I want to see him wind up. That's what I want.
I want him to roof a backhand.
Well, boys, it's been real. Episode 1 in the books. Next week, we'll come back with episode 2. Ant, AJ, thanks for joining me. Thanks for chatting. Talk a little too much Rangers for me. I've got to we got to get some structure. We'll get some football in. But that's why a pilot is called a pilot.
We hope you guys enjoy.
We'll get some football in. We got some Derek Carr stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, Derek Carr, man.
To get to next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
All right, boys. Thanks.
Later, boys.
Have a good night.
Have a good one, guys.